I'm playing Ready or Not, but I want to show you something. I think I'm gonna start watching this guy's videos and reacting to him because he has some really good conversations. And this one is it's almost pathetic how the guy he's talking to does, like he says, mental gymnastics to skate around the fact that, women only women should be going in women's bathrooms, right? Watch this.
Creating all these mental gymnastics and overcome.
I think that, I mean, let me be clear.
So Harris voter says women have no right to privacy in restrooms. I have a feeling that this guy is a professor or a teacher. I have a weird feeling, and I think he just had this kind of like debate with one of his teacher coworkers or whatever.
I think these
Should I be able to?
trans people are
not?
people,
Yeah.
and that they should have the same dignity that everybody else has.
Yeah, but 98% of Americans should not. I'm sorry, but they should not be feeling uncomfortable and doing things just for 2% of the population. And by the way, 2% is, being very nice.
But I think that that's a question. I think that's a social question, but it's also a question of whether or not the government should be involved or not.
So should I be able to play?
I think that's up to the sports league. I think the sports league should figure it out.
There was this big topic with the Olympics. Should I be able to compete if I'm in the boxing in the Olympics?
I think that's up to the Olympics. I think that those people.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that because the Olympics have been, allowing that stuff to happen, and women have been getting hurt, like literally been getting hurt. There was a girl, volleyball, and there was a transgender guy on there, and he ended up spiking it so hard that it messed up her face pretty bad, gave her bruises.
People are probably the best in the world to assess whether or not.
Should I be able to use the locker room at the gym?
Again, I think it's up to the policies of the sports league. I mean,
but who's making? But there's no sports league making that decision. This is a legal decision. That's the problem here.
How so?
Because it comes down to the rights of the women in that space, and saying, okay, so
just so you know, I'm playing Ready or Not, but I wanted to watch this.
If I decide tomorrow that I'm female, I'm legally getting all access to all the legal. I'm getting all legal access as a woman.
But do you have a legal right to a single gender bathroom?
Yes. That's the point of separating the bathrooms so that each gender feels safe where they are going to the bathroom or doing what I mean. Bathrooms aren't just bathrooms for women. Let's be honest. I mean, what do women do? If some guy's creeping them out, what do? They go to the bathroom. They call their friend or the police. When girls want to go talk, what do? They go to the bathroom. I mean, it's more than just a bathroom to women. For guys, pretty much just a bathroom. I mean, let's be honest. Go in there and take a piss, say a couple things to each other, and that's it.
Does anybody?
If a man goes into a female's restroom, I would say that would be illegal. The police could get involved, could they not?
Well, what would you be arrested for?
Public bathroom.
Yeah, I guess what would you be arrested for?
Sexually exposing myself to a female.
Yeah, you pull it out and you'd start taking a piss. Maybe some girl feels uncomfortable and she could say some shit. So, I don't know. The whole point is to be able to go to the fucking bathroom, take a shit, and feel comfortable. And not have to worry about some guy coming in and him looking in under the stalls or something creepy. This is pretty obvious.
Can you use, I mean, I feel like a person.
And this is the thing that just, I don't know if it's made me mad or I'm in denial about how dumb some people have gotten, because it's like common sense questions with common sense answers, easy answers, have developed into these conversations that just want me to blow my brains out. It's just like I feel like 5 years ago, if we were to ask, or I'm sorry, 10 years ago, we were to ask this question, it would be so common, like people would just look at you weird. And now it's all of a sudden a thing. It's just so weird. I don't understand why this is a thing that people actually think it's okay.
Person
So you
can-
think it's? I'm just trying to understand.
I,
your
no,
thought
no,
process
totally,
here.
totally.
Is it
I think
okay
I think a
for
man
that?
can use.
If I had a daughter, like I don't have any kids, but I sometimes imagine having kids to see it like, do I really want kids? That's kind of how you come to the assumption that you want kids. If I had a daughter and she was going to the bathroom and I saw a guy wearing a wig or something or had long hair and a dress on and went in there after she went in there, I would go in there. No question, like immediately, because I'd be like, what the fuck is this guy up to?
Use any bathroom without exposing himself to others, even if it's a
So
public bathroom.
okay, so I'm just trying to
So
understand.
it's a very there's a line somewhere, but
So if I identify as a woman, I should be able to have access to that locker room.
Nothing.
I think that you should obey the law, for sure.
So it is about
So,
laws.
Not,
It's not about a sports league.
Well, there's a conflation here between access and taking action in the bathroom. And you know, if I'm
But
a
if I'm
person
using
who
a
fully
changing
clothed
room,
goes
but
into a
that's
stall.
what a changing room is for. It's for changing your clothes. I'm going, by essence of the purpose of the changing room, I'm going to have to
feel
take off my
comfortable.
clothes, put on new clothes.
But is it a requirement that you do this, that you don't take some propriety into account and do it behind a
If
stall
you
or
go
curtain?
into a locker room and there's no dividers,
there's a lot of people that go in the stall to change because even being in the same changing room or bathroom with the same gender, they still feel a little uncomfortable. And it's more about, I think, more about confidence in your own body than feeling uncomfortable. Like, I know for myself, when I was in school, I would rather change in a bathroom because I just didn't feel as confident. Not like I was worried about some guy doing something to me. It was more about confidence. But if I were a woman and I was changing and some guy with long hair and a beard that called himself a chick came in, I would probably get dressed and get the hell out of there. You know?
it's a locker room. Do you see
Uh-huh.
how this could, do you understand why it's about a policy applied to this?
Oh,
But you can't go, well, this locker room needs divided. We can't go space by space and defend one space for it and say, can't you do this behind a divider? Can't you go into a stall here? That's why it's about, like, do I get legal access or do I not?
That's interesting.
Not
Do I
really.
get legal access?
Should
He's
they get
trying-
I
legal
think
access?
that
He's trying to make it like more complicated just so he has some kind of argument.
I think that is a question of whether or not. Well,
It's like
first of all,
common sense has gone out the window nowadays. I think it's starting to come back, but my
I mean,
God.
the reason I don't care about this is because I just don't know that the situations you're describing are happening in any kind of mass.
See, that's the response I often get is like,
Oh, so wait for it to happen, and then we can change things, right? Because you know how well that works out, right? Once we do things, we immediately change them as soon as things start happening, right?
why should I care about this? I don't think it's an issue. Why would you have no right to care about this? But a mother in that changing room with a 6-year-old, if I walk into that changing room, you're saying that she doesn't have the right to make that decision of whether her 6-year-old sees me or not. I don't care about it. I don't care. But
Well, I'm
that
not-
6-year-old,
I'm not sure it's about
is it
rights.
right for that 6-year-old that mother doesn't have a right to make that decision for her 6-year-old? That is a right.
Yeah.
And if you say, well, why do we need to care about this? You're saying she doesn't have that right.
Well,
because she
hold on a
shouldn't
second.
care.
How is it a right if anybody at any point, anywhere, can do something lewd? I mean, like this doesn't necessarily happen in a bathroom. I mean, this can happen anywhere in the world.
I often get that response to
Yeah, then you get arrested. That's what the bathroom and changing rooms are for. What?
It's like,
Well, so then
look,
what's
because
the-
you can go outside and expose yourself, therefore that mother has no right to say, wait a minute, my 6-year-old's standing right here. You're a guy with a beard claiming
Call
to be
the
a woman. I don't
police.
want my 6-year-old to see a penis. You're saying, look, I could go outside and take my penis out at any point in time, therefore you have no right to be concerned. Do you follow the logic here?
See, you can pull your dick out in a changing room, in a men's changing room, but as soon as you come out of that changing room, guess what? You're getting arrested. See the difference?
Is that really the case
Crazy.
you want to make?
Well, no, I guess the reason I pose that the risk is there is because
course it's there.
if I think what you're saying is, is that a risk that we want to exaggerate or make more available in a place
For 1% of the population? Yes.
where people do the very thing you don't want to happen?
I'm sorry, but there are things that people are going to be uncomfortable about, laws that they don't like. But for the good of society, so there is no chaos, we make laws so that most of this, society can say, okay, that seems reasonable. That's common sense. Yes, we should pass this law. Some people might not like it. Some people might not follow it. Tough shit. We think for the good of society, we should pass this law. And some of you might not like it. Tough shit. But there are more people than you, that agree that this is okay.
Right? You don't want that exposure in a place where in the locker room, people are exposed.
People with penises changing in front of
Correct.
women.
Correct.
Do they have the right, does a person with a penis have the right to say, I identify as a female and I'm going to go in there and I have the right to that space? Let's keep
No.
it as simple as that, because that's as simple as it is.
No.
We could overcomplicate this to dodge the question, but we're not that
If you want to make a gender neutral bathroom where anybody can change in there, sure, make it some small bathroom over there. Sure.
silly. Let's
But-
contend with the logic.
Well, with the logic,
I am telling you right now, if a transgender and a guy still had his dick and went into a men's bathroom and started changing, nobody would say anything. I'm telling you right now, no one would say anything. Would people maybe look or talk to? Maybe, but most guys just go about their business and don't give a fuck.
I'm not sure I completely understand this term, this term of rights.
Really?
Yeah, I really don't.
You don't understand the mother being concerned about her 6-year-old.
No. I understand the concerns, but,
pretty
but
simple.
I'm not
She
talking
has
about
a
the
right
concern.
to make a decision
Basic
whether her
human
6-year-old
rights.
is exposed to a penis or not.
Basic human rights. We really are arguing about basic human rights.
That's a right.
Okay.
That's why
That's
we have
your
laws.
argument?
That's why you're not allowed to go outside and pull your pants down on a playground. Do you understand that? It's not that complicated. You really don't understand.
We have basic human rights so that if you were to, I don't know, break the law, like as in flashing yourself, pulling your penis out, you go to jail, where your rights that you did have when you were being a good little boy are taken away from you, so that next time when you are let out, they say, listen, those rights that you have outside of prison, you can have those. As long as you don't pull your penis out in public again, you won't lose your rights. That's how that works.
Understand rights?
Crazy.
No, I'm following you here. I'm following you
Get
here.
this.
I have the right, and the right is granted by the forcible removal of that person from that
Right.
situation, like the aggressor from that situation.
I mean, people.
Are we really doing this?
I tend to think that these are inalienable rights that are granted to us within this country. That we're the idea of where do rights.
So, but that,
If you don't want those rights, you can go to Haiti or something, right? Notice they never go into places like that where, you can do about whatever the fuck you want. Yeah.
so this is something that's interesting, because imagine that you had a person who didn't want their child to be exposed to any genitalia, male or female.
But that's you're overcomplicating.
Yeah, this is exactly what I was talking about. Um, you can go in the stall. You can wait for someone to, leave, but you're gonna feel a lot more comfortable around your same sex than if you were to go in the guys' locker room or a bunch of guys started. Say you're nervous about changing in front of other women. Like I said, this is usually just about confidence, not about being creeped out or freaked out or nothing like that. So he's taking that and using it as an argument. Oh, what about the people who don't like changing in front of the same sex? Well, it has nothing to do with being creeped out and, you know, maybe someone's going to rape me or someone's going to do something I don't want them to. It has nothing to do with that. It's just confidence. And, and I feel like you would be a lot more, say you were to walk up to that person who doesn't like getting changed in their same sex bathroom. You could say, okay, you can get changed right now in front of all these women right here, or we could add a transgender in here or a couple. Which would you be more comfortable around? I think all women. I think that would be the choice. 9 out of 10. You know.
No, I don't think I am. Because what we're talking about is the right to not have a male genitalia in a female bathroom. But what if I'm a person who wants the right to not see female genitalia in a female bathroom?
Look,
isn't that a right as well? Or it's not a right?
you have the right to not have a female come in and sexually assault you or expose herself. You have that right. If you also have the right to, if you are concerned about changing in front of men, you're probably not going to go into the male's changing room. You might do it at home or whatnot. But you still have the right, if you would like to change in the male's changing room, to change in the male's changing room and not have a woman see you do so. You can understand that.
What I'm saying is that
I think my argument about it being more about confidence is a better argument. But
in a gendered bathroom,
because I think that's true.
If I see a male's genitalia as a male,
If that really bothers you, then there's other alternatives. You could not use the urinal. You could go into we could overcomplicate this, but
it's not an overcomplication if what we're talking about is where something on a playground is inappropriate, but in a locker room it is appropriate. Now we're saying that because the gender is different, it's inappropriate.
God.
You can understand why, though, right? Surely.
Oh yeah, I understand why people
do they have the
with
right
that.
to say?
Well, but
that
this is the question. This is the question: is do they have the right? Because you don't have a right to say in a male locker room a male's genitalia is inappropriate. You don't have the right to do that. If I were to call the police on a male genitalia,
yes, but you're one person. That's what he was also trying to say in the beginning. You are one person. 99.9% of people are okay with it, even if confidence-wise they're not like. They don't want to, they'll just go to the stall. They understand that they don't want to get changed in front of other guys. It's a little bit out of the norm, but they are in the same gender bathroom. So it's somewhat okay. Or they get changed fast. So they know that they are out of the majority, so they go out of their way to do something different so that they don't have to say, hey, everybody, I am not okay with changing in front of you, so we all have to leave or all get our own bathrooms or like, what are we talking about here? What is he trying to do?
That's the purpose of the changing rooms, for you to go in there and
that's
change.
Right. It is the purpose of the changing room.
Only men.
Right. But the expectation is that you have rights granted by law, and if a person is if a person is exposed but also being very lewd, I think that would violate the law, right?
Surely, yeah.
Right, of course.
Like sexually assault a male, another male.
Even just from a visual perspective.
But we're talking about changing.
Correct. If a person, so then the difference is the expectation of this room.
And that happening, to be honest, a male to male being assaulted, is extremely rare because a vast majority of people are straight. Let's just be honest, right? And not only is a small percentage gay, but an even smaller, even minuscule percentage of those gay people would do something like that. So we're talking like one in what, a million, a billion of someone doing that. But if you were to add women in there, I guarantee you it would skyrocket, you know?
Is to be single gendered, and now there's a contradiction here. Does that give you the right?
I don't understand.
Well, there's a contradiction because it's
when the
female
audience
versus
watches
male.
that, they're going to say this guy is creating all these mental gymnastics
Yeah.
and overcomplicating something that is so simple, and this is so frustrating for so many people because people are acting like they cannot understand when the mother
Yes.
says, "No, you can't do that in here in front of my 6-year-old. I have a right to make that decision. That doesn't make me transphobic."
But you're not
Making it
making the decision
complicated.
for you, you're making it for another. And
As a
that's-
mother
Yes,
is allowed
that's how
to do
laws
this.
No,
work.
not for your
Being a
child.
mother.
You're making it for the person who's there that you don't want there. That's
No, your
You
mom.
you could argue that you're trying to do it. You're trying to change it for everybody. I mean, duh. It's the law. If 99.9% of people were trans, I'm sure the law would be a lot different, wouldn't it?
A mother making, the audience is going to say, "What are you talking? You're making this over." The mother is saying, "I'm making the decision for my. I don't want my child to see a penis today."
right. But you're then telling another person they have to take action different than what they
Yes.
want.
Yes.
Right. But
Yes.
that's where this becomes a question of rights, because whose rights are more
Then you're not talking
important?
about
the person
what we're talking about.
who is the
That's
mother, or the
complete-
person who is of a different gender or representative
Right. Exactly.
Yes, that is something completely different. Rights. It's something completely different, and you're trying to pull it into this conversation to make it seem like you have an argument. You do not have an argument. You do. Okay, maybe you do, but it's dumb. It's common sense. It's stupid.
And so when we introduced exactly, this is why it's not just about the sports league. It's actually about, at the beginning of this conversation, actually is about laws. Because if
No,
I
I think you're
decide-
right. You've convinced me.
Okay.
You're right. It is about laws.
Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if I decide tomorrow that I'm identify as a woman, the legal implications of that are going to determine my rights, right? So do I have the right to go into that restaurant? Because that now affects the rights of everyone who has access
Everyone
to that
else.
space already.
Yes.
Women.
Well, I think it depends on how you behave.
So that's why there are many
vast-
women.
It determines the vast majority of people that are going to be going in there. So you're taking one person who feels like they need to go in there versus maybe the thousands of people that go in there that feel uncomfortable. That's not okay. Sorry. You know, go pout about it in the corner of the room. I don't know what the fuck to tell you. Like, this is, I've been watching this show from year 2000, 1999, and like seeing the difference, just what's been on TV is just crazy. It's like if one person feels upset, we have to change all the laws and all this and that just for that one person. It's just dumb. You're not special. Sorry. You're going to have to put up with it or, grow up.
Women, no, it's not about. It's about legal. We just identified this is actually about laws.
Well, no. It's not. It is about law.
All the women who have. It's going to impact women, which is why there are so many women saying that this is.
Well, if it impacts women.
God.
We can clearly identify how that
Yeah, let's wait until a couple women are raped and assaulted. Then we'll deal with it.
will have legal implications.
Stupid.
It will have implications on women using that
Well,
space.
hold on. If I'm a male in a male locker room and I see male genitalia, appropriate. If that person is doing something, I think we can all imagine, inappropriate, then it becomes an issue.
Yes.
If a person
And-
who is transgender enters any bathroom, they're not causing a problem until they do, right? They're not causing a problem until that exposure takes place.
The problem occurs
Just
if the mother. We're trying to make this as simple as
it's
possible.
so stupid.
The mother doesn't want her
I think
daughter
he
in this
lost the argument. He's
hypothetical
trying to-
penis.
Sure.
You're not being.
I think like I said, I think he's a teacher, and he's clinging on to this argument because he's obviously lost it, and I think he's so used to winning arguments with his students that he's just going on and on and on, splitting hairs and just ridiculous.
behaving necessarily But the question is, does she have that right?
Even my
You're not,
dumbass.
you're not like doing anything crazy.
Okay, so let me ask you
think
this
you're
then.
a woman.
So let me
and
ask you
you're trying
this.
to change your clothes, but you have a penis. Do they have a right to be okay with to not be okay with that?
If you're
It's as simple as that.
Well, first of all, whether a person is upset or not can influence the law, can change the law, but the determination of the law is supposed to be objective, right? It's supposed to be
Right. It
justice.
should be yes, which is why it's not about hypotheticals of are there stalls? Why does she feel that way? She shouldn't feel that way because you're exposed to other people with male genitalia in the male's restroom. You're absolutely
But the
right
issue
in that
isn't.
point.
But the issue.
Like, why is punching someone in the face not good or illegal? Because a lot of people say it hurts, and we should probably ban people from doing that all the time. Because it sucks getting punched in the face. The vast majority of people don't like getting punched in the face. Just because one person likes getting punched in the face, it doesn't mean we should make a law where everyone should get punched in the face and deal with it just for this one person.
It's
Isn't whether or not they enter the room. It's not whether they enter the locker room or not. That's not the issue.
How so?
Because if
Where is the issue?
the issue is when they're exposed to something inappropriate. That's the issue.
Okay, let's take this because it's not true. Because they
not
might
true?
not. No,
Why not?
because they have to take off their clothes, and they might not want a bearded person who identifies as a woman watching them do so. That
Yeah.
bearded person doesn't even need to take off his clothes. Does she have a right to not get naked in front of a dude with a beard who identifies as a woman?
Yes.
I would say that she has control of that right. She has the ability whether
See
or not
what
she
I
does
mean?
that.
Like,
Like,
what
like
are
you said, if
what are
a
you
person
trying to
doesn't like
do?
what they're experiencing in a space, they have the freedom to leave. Everybody's personal issues
Kind of pathetic.
don't
honestly.
Do you
necessarily
understand
reflect
the
rights.
wider implications of that, though? So now, if
maybe
you're
I
in an
don't.
airport, and you go into a restroom, that person with the beard who identifies as a woman might be in the stall next to you. Your only response to that is to say that shouldn't bother you, but it might bother them. And you
No,
have
no,
the
no.
right to
I didn't say
whether
it
or
shouldn't
not
bother them. I think they have
Okay,
every right
but
to
can
be
you
bothered.
acknowledge how this does have legal implications of access to the room? I just gave you an example.
You gave me an example of a person who enters a room, doesn't like
See
what
what I mean? Like, just starting, you can tell he's trying to split hairs, and it's kind of pathetic.
they find there, and then
So you're saying
can choose
you
to
should,
leave or not.
You should just have to go to another restroom. That woman is in the wrong, not the guy with the beard.
I'm saying that we all get to have the personal freedom to choose how we want to navigate the world. And the things that you choose to care about are up to you.
Yes. Ugh. But we have to make laws to make sure there's no chaos. There's laws for a fucking reason. Like, this is so common sense. This is what I'm talking about. This is so dumb, this whole conversation. And you could tell he's sitting there like, this is crazy.
You.
Okay,
I've
but
left rooms
there's no way
before.
to have conversations about laws if we can't take a hypothetical and examine that hypothetical and you just say,
Well, we just
go
did.
to a different room. You're saying that the woman
Exactly.
doesn't have the legal right then.
Okay, if I enter a room and someone is, like clearing their throat really aggressively, and I don't want to hear that.
It's a false
What?
comparable. It's absolutely false
That's
comparable.
not
you know that.
what?
Why?
Clearing your throat is not comparable to being exposed to genitalia. Can you
Yes.
acknowledge that?
I think that it is. It's definitely different, but it's.
Dude, you're going to lose
it's-
the audience the second.
it's-
Really? Come on. Like,
Different.
you can, you're a smart guy.
What?
You can see how a 6-year-old, I don't want my 6-year-old to be exposed or have to be viewed changing their clothes, and you're going to say that's
Well, there's a lot of
comparable to
conflations that are
clearing
happening
one's
here.
throat.
There's a lot of conflations here. If a person is like, it has to be. You can't just talk about how it's simple. It's clearly a complex issue if we're talking about it for this long. And the complexity
No.
occurs by making
No,
sure.
it is not complex. You're making it complex. You're trying to make it sound complex, I guess. It's very simple. I don't know how he's just sitting there like, chill. I don't get it.
You're specific with your definitions.
Better man than me.
When is this a problem? It's a problem when
We don't get to determine that. That's the whole point of the law. It's blanket policy.
Thank you.
You don't get to enter
Yes.
that room because I can't decide when it's a problem. That's why we have laws. You either
Yes.
have access to that, you either get the rights as a guy with a beard who identifies as a woman,
Mm-hmm.
or you don't. And I'm saying,
And it's determined by the vast majority of people. The blanket he was talking about, the vast majority of people who are like, no, I'm not okay with that. Because if they said, okay, yeah, that's fine, even though everybody says they don't want to, everybody would be pissed off and there would be protests and fucking chaos, right? That's the whole point of laws.
You don't, because we cannot decide. It doesn't go case by case when it bothers someone or not. That's not how laws work.
You're right. I think the question is, at what point are we infringing on somebody else's right by by not having a conversation about what's reasonable?
And
I think that's really the question.
Yes, I would argue that you are infringing on everyone else's right for that one person.
When what is important to you overrides what is important to someone else. So you decide you're a woman. Okay, the moment I try and accommodate that, but now it infringes on that 6-year-old, or it infringes on that woman. We now have a clearly identifiable line being crossed. We can say, wait a minute, we cannot implement this legally because it is infringing. That's an objective measurement.
Yes.
Well, I don't think it's objective. I don't think it's objective because a person who is upset about that, there are plenty of people who are not upset about it.
But again, we can't go whether or not you're upset. Just because someone's not upset by it doesn't mean that this person doesn't have the right to be upset about it.
No, but now there's a.
I think he should. I was hoping he'd say, vast majority of people who have a problem with that trumps the one person that is sitting there like, why? Why can't I go in there? Because a lot of people say you can't. Most people are, the thousands of women that are going to come into this bathroom don't want you being in there. So you can go find somewhere else. Sorry.
Inflation between the right to be upset and a legal ramification, and that's the difference.
It's
That
not
is the
about
problem.
do you have access legally or not to that room. It's not about are you upset by it or not, because it might not upset me, but I can acknowledge how it could upset other people. That's how these laws work.
Like that's the whole argument of like what's been going on is a couple of people who want these weird rights. I don't know why you want to, that's the problem today is people who want these rights, but the vast majority of people don't want it to stay exactly how it's been for who knows how long. They say they're going to feel uncomfortable with a transgender male with his dick hanging out in front of their daughter. They don't want that happening. The vast majority of people. And that's why. Sorry. Just like the vast majority of people are straight, they don't feel like if you are going to make them say your pronouns, no, then no. I don't want that to be a law. No. Okay, well, it's not a law because most people don't like that shit. Sorry. That's just what it comes down to. I mean, it's not complicated.
It's not about are you upset or not.
Okay, so let me ask you this. If we redefined what female means to be inclusive of trans people, meaning that the expectation of this room may
Not
include
going to happen.
people who look like men but identify as women, that space
That
across America now has that expectation.
well, then what?
Under those circumstances, wouldn't people then have the right to determine whether or not, because really that's what we're talking about here, right? Is
That's the argument being made, and my response is that would take away the mother's right to make that decision whether her daughter is exposed to that or not. It takes away the woman's right to take off her clothes without the presence of a biological male. So no, we can't do it.
But if she simply chooses not to use those spaces, her rights are intact.
But you're going
that
back to
one
the beginning of this
person.
conversation and saying she's in the wrong. She has the right to not have it.
No. I'm not saying she's in the
Does a
wrong.
woman
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You're saying all the rights go to that one person. Everybody else, sorry, you got to deal with it. That's what you're saying. And he is saying everybody else doesn't want that happening. Sorry.
women have the right to access a women's
God.
changing room without a biological male in it? That's the essential question here. And
Right,
your
right,
response
right,
to
right.
this is to say she doesn't need to have access to that room. She should just do it at home.
No, my response is, how do we be inclusive and also preserve rights? She
Can't.
has the right for an expectation of a
And you
space.
can't do both. You
Can't do
I
both.
disagree. She has the right to an expectation of a certain space. If that space it has the expectation that there may be a biological male there,
I know that's the argument that the left would make on this.
Uh-huh.
And I would say,
What's wrong with it?
because you're telling the woman that you by definition of what you
Women,
just said to me.
not woman.
Woman?
Women.
We've redefined this to where you have to have the expectation that a biological male has access to the space.
Uh-huh.
Wait a minute. You're telling me I have to adjust my expectation to change in front of a biological male? You don't see the problem here.
Well, it's not that they have to change in front of somebody. It's whether or not they want to use that space with that risk, if that's something that they consider a risk.
Do you see why that woman might say to you, "You're crazy, and this is infringing on my rights. This is wrong. This is morally wrong." This
Well,
will
first of
never be
all, the
acceptable."
right that you have to use a changing room is defined by the law, and if the law
Yes.
says the expectation is that is that you could have all manner of people in here, then your rights aren't being infringed. The definition of the room is changed, but you're not losing
Which
your
by
right.
definition changes the right of the woman to not do that in front of a biological male.
No, because nobody is forcing her to go there. No one is forcing her to change.
Oh
These
my
are choices
God.
she's made.
You're saying you no longer have access to this room
Okay, this
without
guy
the
is done.
expectation
He's
of
cooked.
doing so in front of a biological male.
Well, if we're talking about rights and laws, and if that's the way the law is written, then correct.
So you're at a headway.
Look at this. Why is it okay to upset millions of women, but not okay to upset a tiny number of trans women? Exactly. As a woman, I don't want a man in the restrooms or locker room. Exactly. I can't believe this guy's arguing that a man's right to expose his penis to a 6-year-old is as valid as a mother's right to object. Thank you. And this is why we voted Trump. We are not redefining the word woman. His smugness is repulsive. I think that's why I think it's a teacher. Does this man even see women as people? I'm so tired of this. This dude's not seeing how adult exposing themselves to a child is a problem. He isn't even defining it. This dude is a huge red flag.
Here, you understand? And I know that if you're
No.
if you're gonna
I'm
follow
saying
that logic,
this
you'll
is
never
this
be
is
able
a.
to.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom, but I'm gonna let it run off to the end. Yeah, probably by the time I get back. Then I'm gonna play Ready or Not.
This is a law. If it's a legal, like first of all, there's a couple of definitions of like what a woman is. There's like the legal one, which I wouldn't even know where to begin with that. The social, and then the biological. Everybody's pretty much in agreement on the biological, but the social is the one people have the most issue with. And then now we've branched into this legal idea where we're talking about expectations of spaces.
You'll never be able to apply the social one to the legal one, because
I don't doubt it.
We've clearly identified why.
Oh, I
And the
100%.
best that you can do, that you can propose, and it's totally understandable because that is the only proposal you can do, is to say you need to adjust your expectation of what you're going to see in that room, what your 6-year-old is going to see, and what you can manage to do in comfort, and to who you're going to change in front of. And you're just going to have to adjust your expectation around this new social definition. That's the only solution you're going to be able to offer. And you need to tell, your argument is that those people just need to get over it or don't use that space. But if you can't recognize how that's not viable. I know you do disagree with it, but we have a lot of women who are speaking out on this issue.
Great argument, though. Well, sort of. Let's be real. I want to